Hey, welcome to the Man Cave. We're on another mandate. Guys on the corner. We having another just very frank discussion. So we started out this discussion about 2 weeks ago talking about the pandemic, and the quarantine and the mental stressors of being in quarantine. Last week kind of escalated the conversation talking about how now we're dealing with two stressors. At some point it felt like there was no more pandemic because of what we saw with police brutality. This week we want to finish off the conversation. We don't have all the answers. We're not here trying to say that we have the answers, but we want to know, want people to know that we relate to what you're going through. Hopefully you could get some kind of understanding that there are some people that you could reach out to. If you need prayer or if you need counseling, then you could reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. And this is us men just being total transparent, bearing our feelings and how these things affect us. All right, so we're here again with our very special guest, Darrell Wilson, who's a licensed counselor. But I'll let him give all the information because I don't want to botch it up. So, Darrell, could you just tell them how to get in touch with you? Because we want men to understand that you're not in this alone and that you could reach out to someone that could help you. So, Darrell, could you please?
Yeah, absolutely. I can be reached via social media at Darrell G. Wilson on Facebook. And I can also be reached at Interpretive Works 3D Ministries via Facebook. And I can be reached at 718-869-4157. And via email, you can reach me at dance3d@aol.com.
To you, sir. So, kind of like wanted to take this little time out from the other guys, just to have a little bit of just a small introduction and, introductory discussion, being a little selfish. And I'll try not to tear up or well up or anything, but I'll just talk, for me, because I'm trying to get some free psychology here. So, just so you understand. So I'm trying to really deal with what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And so I look at whether it's TV, and I'm struggling with this lack of common decency. And I believe that because I treat someone with respect, I'm expecting the same. Because as human beings, last time I checked, we bleed the same. And so I'm struggling because when I look at these things, I see where you're treated less than human. And how can I deal with that where I'm not running out there trying to bash somebody over the head, the first white person I see, I try to rush up to them and hurt them, or just all white people, I hate all white people, just that kind of mentality. Right. What are some of the things that I could do that when I look at these videos, because it's worth looking at because it's out there, it's a reality. So you see these things on the video, you see you experience these things. Sometimes we personally experience it. What can I do to make sure that my mental state, I pray, but it doesn't seem like I get any kind of relief because, I might pray and I get up, I feel a little better. I look again.
Yeah, it kind of lends itself to being like a revolving door. What you're talking about is a lot more common with us as a people than maybe some may feel or some may think. One of the things that I think is vitally important to us as individuals is that we have to be very, very cognizant, and we have to be intentional on protecting our minds. The environment and the atmosphere that we're in today can be overwhelming, and it can be all-consuming. We can only control us. We can't control what other people do. We can't control how other people think. we can only control what we do. We can only control and we can only go in the direction that we choose. What do I mean by that? You know, we've all heard the term, you know, sometimes you have to pick your battles. What we've been battling with as a people has been for just about all of our lives in this country. It's a very difficult struggle. For us as a people, we've always been forgiving, a very forgiving people. And most of that forgiving comes when it comes down to forgiving. I'll just say it. White folk. We aren't as forgiving to one another. If you do something to hurt me, I will hold on to that thing for years. But because being accepted by someone who has oppressed us, and I'm not saying that everybody, you know, of the Caucasian persuasion is responsible for this, but we're quicker to forgive them or a stranger than we are our brother, our sister, or even our spouse. You know, and I often wondered, why is that?
Yeah.
Why are we so forgiving and so willing to forgive someone who is a stranger to us than we are of the person, for instance, that we say we love unconditionally?
Right. Right.
How do you say you love someone unconditionally and then turn around and put conditions on it? You know, so it's a difficult place to be in. It's a struggle that I think all of us as a people, a lot of us, you know, that we struggle with. For me, like you, prayer. It's been a lot of prayer. And a lot of people say, you know, I've been praying for this and I've been praying for that, and, you know, I haven't seen, you know, God hasn't answered that prayer. I get it. I get it. And sometimes, you know, those prayers are answered, but because they're not answered in the way that we were looking for them, we miss it. We miss it. You know, so we have to try to just
So,
be patient.
so I wanna. That's a good answer, because I've done that, prayed. But what I find helps me as well is all of us need at least one person that you can talk to and be totally transparent. Bare your soul, your raw feeling, your raw energy, but have them hear you out, be a sounding board, and not necessarily go off with you when you want to do foolishness.
Right.
And I find that helps me. That I have some people in my life that I might feel like I want to go out and do something, because I'll be honest with you, I felt like the riots were necessary.
Right.
I'll just be honest with you, because there's nothing else that we've done for so many years that hasn't accomplished anything.
Correct.
So we feel like, yeah, you want to bring violence to me, I'm going to respond in kind.
Absolutely.
And so I felt that you know, that call.
Fire. That
Fire. Hey,
Yeah.
you want to call it fire. But I have some people that I could talk to and share that fire with, but they don't say, let's go out there and do something that they could redirect and make me understand how best to channel my energies. And it's a good teaser, into the next section. So we bring the other guys in, and then we'll continue on with this discussion.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we're here, part 2B, part 3, whatever you want to call it, but here in the man cave again on another mandate, guys on the corner. So I want to introduce our panel, this discussion that we had.
No, because of where your mic is, every I need to put it like
Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah.
don't care if it shows. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's gonna find it for sure.
Rumble, rumble.
Back man on the corner. There you go.
So here we are again.
It just fell in my shirt.
Oh my God, this is difficult.
She's all right now.
No, it was fine. It was fine before it just fell. I don't
You
know.
never worked for the feds, man? You never been on the cover?
No. And my major, I'm gonna have a mic in front of me. I'm not gonna have one stuck to my shirt.
No, it might actually just be.
No, I'm talking about because I'm sports broadcasting. They have the mic in
I
front
know,
of me.
but yeah, when you're broke.
Okay, Stuart Scott. So here we are again. Another mandate in the man cave, guys on the corner. So I want to introduce everyone one more time. You know, this is part 3, part 2B, whatever you want to call it. Got a little heavy, so you know I want to introduce the guys again. So we got Elijah Simmons, Donnell Lewis, Hudson Sanews, Noah Paris, and our very special guest, Darryl Wilson, which we had a little bit of a teaser earlier. You know, he and I just had a one-on-one where I got some free counseling. So, you know, we want to kick it right off. Young guys, I give you a chance, jump in. You know, I don't want to talk too much. My generation's already did their thing and we wasn't successful. So tell us what you guys plan to do. Talk to Mr. Darryl now.
What do you think is the best solution going forward for the lack of all-around education that happens in our country?
Well, one of the things that I think would be important is if we become a little bit more vigilant in holding accountable our local politicians, those people who are able to actually do something for us and in our communities on a local level. Because what I've learned is that a lot of us don't vote when it comes down to these local elections of different, assemblymen and the court systems and so on and so forth. A lot of us don't come out and vote for those kind of things, but that's where it really, really matters for us, especially when it comes down to education. Because, even though they talk about, no child will be left behind, and they talk about, the educational system being a priority and so on and so forth, it's the educational system that's always first when it comes down to the budget cuts.
Oh, so seeing that you mentioned first in the budget cuts, what do you think about the defunding of the police departments?
I like the idea of defunding the police department, and I think the defunds that they take away from the police department should go into education.
Yeah, I agree, because I know the notion is everyone here defunding the police, they think it's total, like just eliminating the police, and that's not what it is.
No, it's not. That is correct.
So I think if we can redirect some of the funds
Correct.
Into the proper, as a counselor, how do you feel when there's let's say, I'm suffering from, let's say, a mental breakdown, and the police officer is called in and he has to deal with that issue? As a counselor, you looking at, when you see those situations, how do you feel about that? Because they're not equipped to deal with a mental issue.
No, that's not what they're equipped. They have training in certain areas of it, but it's not extensive training. So their responsibility would be to refer, to direct that person to the proper resource that can help them when it comes down to dealing with mental illness and things of that nature. Because we see how real mental illness is. Because let's look at who we got in the White House right now. We have the poster child for mental illness in the White House right now.
Yeah.
So,
And he's been going around speaking on defunding and saying it's like we're trying to get rid of the police, which I think is a misconception that we have to debuckle that and get that out the air and just bring forth the truth of what that really means.
Well, he's doing certain things he's doing on purpose because so it's almost time for re-election.
right.
So he's trying to stir up his base.
Yeah.
And whether he gets the right message or not, he's trying to just portray that like that, so he can get his base together, so he can get reelected. So
Yeah.
really don't look up what he's doing. But
Translated, it's not a misconception, it's a lie.
Exactly.
Point blank.
Well, there are a lot of things there that's a lie. You know, for example, you know, a lot of this started with Kaepernick taking a knee. Kaepernick wasn't taking a knee disrespecting the flag. As a matter of fact, and I just want to put this out there, Kaepernick did that after consulting with a Marine that saw him protesting.
That's correct.
And decided that, and he, after speaking with the guy reached out to him after speaking with the guy said, this is, you know, a good way to do it, taking a knee, not, you know. So it was never disrespecting the flag.
Right.
All of a sudden it became about the flag.
Right.
And that's a lot of what we're seeing here with the okie doke. You know, it's, you're saying that police are brutal. And now if America had responded back when Kaepernick started, what was it, 2017?
No, further than that.
Yeah, I think it was,
2016.
2016 when he started?
15 or 16.
Yeah. So when he started that, if people had just listened and addressed, my reason for going through all of this is a lot of times we're being ignored in terms of what our message is. For example, now if you fast forward, now we're saying these statues that you're putting, that you have erected, they're a reminder of a painful past for us.
Correct.
So now nobody wants to address the fact that we have a every time we pass by the statue, you know, they had a statue in Boston of, you know, Lincoln almost petting a slave.
Right.
You know, look like it was his pet.
Right.
So that's a painful thing to look at, to say that we were subservient or we were beneath.
Right.
And so the concept of saying, hey, we don't want these reminders.
Right.
We're not saying that, you know, and I hear a discussion the other day. I was looking at The View. I don't want to tell people to go look at it, but, and then one person was saying, well, I can't have a painting off with it. Nobody cares about the painting in your house.
Right.
We're saying in public, we don't want these statues
Right.
to remind us of 300 years of pain.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of this okey doke, you know, where they're trying to misrepresent what we're saying. So yeah, defunding the police doesn't mean that we're getting rid of the police. We're talking about all this extra money that they're getting just to make it plain.
Yeah. Well, you know, America has never wanted to have the conversation where racism is concerned.
Yeah.
So what do they do? They deflect. They deflected. They made his silent, peaceful protest about a flag and a song.
Which, by the way, the third stanza.
I already know.
Yeah, all right.
I
The
already
third
know.
stanza.
Which they never sing.
Right, they never sing, but it says, and now if you want to look at a body of work, you got to look at the entire body of work. So there are four stanzas in there, I believe, and the third one says a slave will be, you know, punished.
That's right.
Because they felt like they betrayed.
Yeah.
So the song, in other words, the song was not written for us. The song was written about us.
Exactly.
But you see, the thing is that, you know, that's why education is so important.
Right.
You know, because a lot of people aren't aware, even white America, who sings this song every week, you know, on Sundays for football, they don't know that verse, or they don't know anything about that because they've never been taught. They're not interested.
Thank you. That's what I was
They're
about
not
to say.
interested. So therefore, it's like, what are you talking about? You know, why are you disrespecting, you know, the national anthem? Because it's not written for us. It's written about us, and it's written for you. So the mere fact that you infringed upon this man's right to peaceful protest, and then you want to stand there and you want to talk about, you know, it's not the right time. But it's never the right time. Because if we march, y'all mad. If we take a knee, y'all mad. If we protest, y'all mad. So, when would be the right time? There is no right time for them. Because any way that we approach addressing the racism in this country, they're going to have a problem with it because they don't want to deal with it. America has never been great.
Not for us.
Not for us.
Not for us.
It has never been
It's been
great.
great for some people.
Yeah,
for us.
but not for us.
Not
It
for
has
us.
never been great for us. And America has too much blood on its hands.
Yeah.
To be acting so proud.
Absolutely.
Not just here, but abroad.
Mostly abroad.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the things that they've done
Yeah.
to other countries, and now we have somebody in the White House who's now trying to do the exact same kind of stuff that they've done overseas to American people.
Yeah.
But only American people of color.
Right.
You know what I want to get into though, real quick? We can talk about like statistics and facts and all that type of stuff that we know already. But from a young person's perspective, like our generation, we, growing up, we didn't know these things. Because in our history books, we didn't see representation of ourselves. Every representation of us was a person getting beat, burnt, or hung. And the thing is, from my perspective, I'm scared. I go out into the world, and I remember when I first got my first job, I was about 19, 20 years old. My father told me, there's two things when you go into that workforce that you have against you. You're black, and you're a man. So now I look at those things, I'm like, to grow up as a black young man in America is a frightening thing. It's already a stressor. They don't see me as, oh, I'm Jamaican, or they don't see me that, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm an apostolic person. It doesn't matter, all that stuff. They only see me as a black young man.
Correct.
So my thing is, how do I handle that stress, that feeling of, will I make it home tonight or not? How do I handle that?
Yeah, it's a question, and it's a task that we're all struggling with. I have a son, you know, and anytime he leaves, that's my concern. Even if he's going to work, it's still a concern, you know, that all of us are faced with on a daily basis. You know, this pandemic, as I said before, has really exposed a lot of things in this country. It's definitely shown a light on the racism in this country. It's affected families in this country, and families of people of color more so than anyone else. You know, and one of the questions, you know, that my wife and I talked about is, you know, with the pandemic, how has it affected or infected your families and your relationships? It's infected a lot of our families and a lot of our relationships, and it's also affected a lot of our families because a lot of us have lost people, you know, to this pandemic. So it's a genuine concern that you have as far as, you know, not knowing whether or not you're going to make it back home or not in the in the atmosphere that we're in right now. But, you know, it's
hard.
it's a hard thing. But as a people, we have always been, you know, a people who have stood on the Word of God and in prayer.
Oh, so as a Christian person though, how do you feel about like with the protesting or so forth? Like a Christian, as a Christian myself, about me going out and protest and so
Listen,
forth.
how do I feel about it? I love it.
Right.
But see, this is a misconception. Is that because we profess Christianity, because we profess loving God, loving Christ, doesn't mean that we're doormats. Jesus got mad too.
Yep.
That's why he went in there overturning tables.
Yeah, exactly.
There were times when he instructed angels to just annihilate. Don't leave anything alive. Kill everything. He wasn't no punk. But see, for us as Christians, you know, people feel like, well, you know, because I'm a Christian, I'm supposed to just
Turn the other cheek.
tolerate everything. No, we're not.
So there's a point I want to make with that, because I've made this point to friends of mine before. As far as believers in Jesus Christ, and I'm using that broad term, most of Christianity in this country have benefited from the sacrifice of a few. I don't want to use the term minority, you know, in terms of Christianity. The only people that were out there that were actually active, Baptists for the most part, Muslims. And Muslims, they believe Jesus Christ is a prophet. So they believe in Jesus Christ in that respect. So we're benefited. And I feel like when I look in Matthew 5, where Jesus is talking, on the, you know, and he's saying, "Blessed are the poor." This is Jesus defending the marginal or the people that are oppressed. So for us as Christians to say, "Oh yeah, let's just pray," it's being hypocritical to who we're following, because like you rightfully said, Jesus got angry. And you got to know yourself. Point of getting to a point I want to get to is, I know me, short-tempered, just totally black out when I get really into it. I know if I go out there and protest and a cop hit me with a baton, I'm probably not coming home. So I know myself. So I'm not going out there to protest if I know that it's violent.
Right.
One of the things that I saw that was very, I don't know, it broke me to no end. I saw cops, marksmen, that were shooting rubber bullets at specific people.
Right.
Taking out people's eye and crazy stuff like that. But yet there's this common decency to say, that's a person. And so for me, and I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, don't take your daughters out there because there are cops out there that don't have any sense. And so I know. So I'm not saying to go out there and be all crazy.
Right.
But if you can go out there and protest, yeah, why not? Jesus went in there and turned over tables.
That's right.
He knew he wasn't going to punch somebody in the face. He was just going to turn over tables.
Right.
But so he expressed that. And so, you know, I just wanted to make that point, because a lot of Christians say, well, let's just pray and don't do anything else.
Correct.
So, you know, I just wanted to make that point, to interject that. So you guys can go ahead now and, you know, continue with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on this, though. Kind of going back to what Noah said. I believe in the protests, but, like, I have daughters. And to me personally, the reason why now I feel like I should do something, and now based on the atmosphere and everything, is because for me personally, is they have a double negative. Not only are they black, they're women. And women in this country has to, especially black women, has to work twice as hard as their counterpart. And after working twice as hard as their counterpart, they still got to work twice as hard as a Caucasian person, a Caucasian woman, before they can meet that standard bar where they have to go up. So what advice do you have that I can take from here, or anyone that's looking in, that we can, just so we can speak to our kids about?
I think that you should continue to keep your daughters on the straight and narrow path, because as I said earlier, I believe it's this generation right here that's going to change this whole situation. Women are rising up in this country like never before. And I'm learning, and I'm noticing, and I'm watching, and I'm looking at women who are in positions of mayors, you know, whether they're governors or whatever. It's like what they're doing for the people, for their constituents that they represent, is working. It's working. And I'm listening to them talking about Biden choosing a woman, you know, as a VP, but not just a woman, but a black woman as a VP. Things are changing for our women.
But on the other hand, we have a president that is sitting in office that would be like, you know, that's a mistake. That should be a man's job.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I don't listen to anything that this man says because see, people talk about him lying all the time. Understand this. Lying is not something that Donald Trump does. Lying is who Donald Trump is. Period. End of conversation about that. That's what he does, and he does it daily. There's a reason why Donald Trump's parents didn't raise him. His grandparents did. There's a reason why they did that. His sister just wrote a book about their family, and she put it all out there. You should look it up. She put it all out there.
Try to block it.
And he tried to block it. That's exactly right, because she put it all out there. You know, so I take what Donald Trump says with a grain of salt. What America did was, let me rephrase that. What the Electoral College did was put Donald Trump in office. The people that voted for him, what they did was they voted for a real horrible real estate agent. That's what they did. Donald Trump has zero knowledge of what it takes to run a country. He couldn't even run his business. But people felt like voting for him because they wanted change, and that's exactly what they got, change.
Well, they were given two bad options.
Well,
So-
I'll put it to you this way.
It took that.
I'll put it to you
I have a
this
different
way.
opinion on this.
I
than-
would
than-
really,
than most of the
I would
panel.
much rather have to deal with the 30,000 emails of Hillary Clinton than what we are dealing with right now.
But what if it's
Any
more?
day.
But what if it's more than just the emails? That was the problem.
If is a big word, even though it's
No,
only
it
two
was.
letters.
It was. I'm
If is a
personally one
big
of those
word.
that I dislike Hillary Clinton to the point where I was like, let's give this man a chance, because I do not want to see her in office.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't want to see Donald Trump in office. Why? Because Donald Trump showed America who he was when he took out that full-page ad on the Central Park 5.
Who else commented on Central Park 5?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it
You have
doesn't. Donald Trump was the one who ran for office, not anybody else who commented on it.
Hillary Clinton didn't she
Hillary-
comment on that?
But did Hillary Clinton call for the death penalty for these 5 guys? No, she didn't.
She didn't.
She did not. He did.
What did she say about them?
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what she said, because I don't.
Okay.
But what I do know is that Donald Trump wouldn't allow you, me, or anybody on this panel right here to even shine his shoes, because we ain't worthy enough.
He said it before. He said, I don't want black guys touching my money. Black guys are lazy. I want Jewish people touching my money.
Let me
Good
say
people,
something.
Hardworking people.
I don't know of a politician who don't have flaws.
That's a fact.
Not one. But here's the thing, because this goes for all of us on this panel as well. When you're able to acknowledge your flaws, it will enable someone else with flaws to love you. But if you can't acknowledge that you have flaws, it's almost impossible for someone else with flaws to do what you're not willing to do for yourself. I'm not saying Hillary Clinton didn't have flaws. Barack Obama had flaws,
Plenty.
okay? But he did 2 terms. There's a reason for that.
And he,
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And people are talking about now Biden, you know, being a racist and so on and so. Listen, I don't know if Barack Obama would have selected him to be a vice president if he exhibited that kind of hate or racial discord for black people. And I don't think that today Barack Obama would still endorse him as president of the United States today.
Really?
No, I don't. If he was a racist, like a Donald Trump, no, I don't. With all that
He's
is
a better
within me.
racist.
with all that is within me, I do not believe that President Obama would still endorse him. I just don't believe that. Because that's not where he nor his wife comes from.
Well, I don't think we know Obama personally.
No,
to
we
say
don't.
that- to
We don't
say
know
that.
Donald personally
We don't.
or Hillary.
We don't. So I'm not actually putting one above the other. I think they're all the same. One may smile in your face, and one just says it right to your face.
So with that said, though, I just wanted to think, just really just touch this though. So based on the point of view, just overall, do you guys think that racism is like systematic, is something
Definitely in
that's
the system,
systematic
100%.
in this country?
100% is in the system.
I
And
don't
that's
think
why
it's-
when you speak about education and forcing them to change their education in their books, it's never to me, in my opinion, it's never going to happen. As a parent, you need to educate your kids at home. Let them know who they are at home.
Right.
Teach them at home.
Right.
Growing up in a Catholic school, I grew up in a Catholic school, all white. And I know when they taught about the history of this country, I always slumped back in my chair and just kept quiet as they taught the history of the country. Because like you said, no, what they teach you in this country about African Americans are, they were slaves, they were brought here, and we are lucky to be here. And that's not going to change. That's not going to change. You need to teach your kids at
So,
home.
so there's no hope? This generation not going to do it?
Not gonna do it?
No.
I think this is the right generation. To
I
do
think
it,
you need
honestly.
to learn to cope and deal with what's going on.
But we've been doing
because
that.
it's not.
No,
we're
no.
not going to change this system.
See, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all because that's not who God created us to be. God did not create us to settle.
He didn't
And
do
when
it.
you say, and when you say
Okay.
that you think that they're all the same,
Uh-huh.
I interpret that as that's the exact, when you said Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and Barack
Yes.
Obama, that they're all the same, one
Yes.
may smile in your face. When you put everybody in that same kind of, in that same boat,
Uh-huh.
what you're doing, how that resonates for me, is that you're doing the exact same thing that we're saying white folks are doing to us. That they look at all black people as criminals. I can't sit here and agree with that. I respect your perspective and your opinion,
Okay.
but I'm not going to sit here and complain about white folks and how they treat black people and how they see all of us as being criminals. I can't agree with that.
There's a difference though. When I say they are all the same, politicians, they are all the same. You're not, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, 90%, when I say all, I'm talking a large majority of them. They are the same. They do what they need to do to get votes, and once they are in, this system does not allow change. That's why, in my opinion, Kennedy was killed, Martin Luther King was killed, Malcolm X is killed, because this
The nail that
system
sticks
will
out will
not,
be
they
hammered.
will take you out before you could do anything. Obama might have came in with good intentions, but once he got in, not much change. To me, in my
So-
opinion, not much change.
So could I just
Not much change.
just a general assessment based on what you're saying. So you're trying to say that if they're all the same, right? As in your opinion.
Yes.
Think of put it this way. With the pandemic and with the racial issues that we're dealing with right now, do you think the outcome of the president of the country walking out, have the military chase the people out just so he can do a photo op? You trying to say you feel the pandemic, which is still going on, and also right now, the way that he's reacting to the fact that we're hurting. I'm angry. You know what I'm saying? I respect your opinion, but I'm telling you right now, it's very upsetting. Not just as we're talking about re-education of another race or of Caucasian people, but just speaking with you on how you're speaking of that, I'm saying we all need to have that re-education. And it starts with us. So you're my brother, and I respect your opinion, but we do have to, because if it's any other of the people that you named that was in the office, or in the Oval Office right now, it would be different.
I'm sure they would handle things different. And when I say they're the same, I mean basically comes down to the same. Obama is more articulate.
Listen.
He can speak. Listen, he's more articulate. He knows what to say.
I'm not gonna accept a foot on my neck. And I can't see my brothers, my sisters,
Okay.
and my people just dying. And I'm looking at this, I want lack of a better word, clown running the country who don't care about our people.
True. I agree with you.
And I respect your
I agree
opinion, and
with you.
it just with this is like really close to my heart.
No, I understand. But my point to you is, did this happen when Obama was in office? Right? Did we see
Did what happen?
police brutality? Did we see it happen? What did he
Yes,
do?
but-
He gave a nice photo op, he gave a nice speech. But what policies did he pass to change things?
That's where my point
right?
started coming.
What did he do to actually change things instead of having a nice speech? He said a lot of nice words, pretty words,
Right.
nice. What policies did he implement to say, you know what, the police force, such and such, this has to change, this has to change. If a cop is caught doing something like that, he's being prosecuted as a criminal, because that is illegal. Did he force any change?
My thing is, I think we're too focused on the executive branch itself. The president only has a certain amount of power.
Thank you.
The president doesn't
Absolutely.
create
Thank
laws.
you.
He can suggest laws to Congress,
Okay.
and Congress passes the law. Even if Congress passes the law and the president vetoes the law and says, no, that can't be done, Congress has a second chance to pass the law again if
Correct.
two-thirds say, okay, we're still
Facts.
going to pass this.
Correct.
So
Okay.
we need to focus, as you
Nice.
said, on our local government.
That's right.
Because there's two
Nice.
houses. There's the House of, I don't remember the house.
House
There's
of
two houses,
Representatives.
and we vote on who's in the houses. If we put the right people in place,
Correct.
our generation can make the change. There are
Correct.
politicians out there that we don't know because they're not publicized. We're all focused on Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Yes,
Correct.
he is bad, but he's not the one exactly that we need to make
Okay, so
have the
exactly
change.
that exact point. He doesn't have all the power, right? So why are we sitting there and say, oh, it's Trump's fault, everything is happening? But when Obama was in office,
Because,
he
Huddy,
had power to do things too.
Because, Huddy, he's working with a majority Senate.
And Obama used to work with
and
the
will
majority
not,
too.
and will not,
Okay.
will not do anything.
Bob, when Obama
To-
first came in office, did he have the majority?
No.
Yes, he did.
Listen, Mitch McConnell, from day one.
That's right.
From day one,
Said
he-
what he said.
said
Yes.
Yeah.
that he was going to make sure that this man was a one-term president.
Okay.
Come on
He
now.
fought.
Yeah.
Same thing the
Hold
Democrats
on,
said about
hold on.
Trump. Same
He-
thing they said about
He
Trump. But
fought,
go ahead.
He fought President Obama
Tooth and nail.
hand over fist
Okay.
on everything he did, and he still managed to get some things done. Now, do I agree with everything that he did? No, I don't. But President Obama was the president of the United States. He wasn't the president of black people. He was the
I've heard
president
that.
of the United States.
I've heard that before.
And we seem to think that because we had the first black president, that he should have done more
Okay.
for the black community
Okay.
than he did for the rest of America. But guess what? That's exactly what you're seeing with Donald Trump right
Yep.
now.
He's not
What
of
do
the
I-
United
what do I do?
What you're
States.
seeing is that everything that he does is geared towards the 1%,
Yeah.
people like him. That's who he's in office to benefit. That's why he's appointing all of these Supreme Court judges. That's why he's appointing people like Bill Barr. That's why Mitch McConnell is trying to get rid of people off of the Supreme Court, so to open up available spots so they can put other people in position, including himself.
Okay.
Donald Trump is not doing anything positive for America. But just like when President Obama was in office, you had white folk who was totally against Obamacare.
Even
Why?
though they were receiving it.
Why?
Yep.
Because they were ignorant.
And they just wanted
Why
to go
was they
against it.
ignorant?
Yeah.
Because they were listening. See, that's why you have to be careful who has your ear. You got to be real careful of who has your ear. Because everybody don't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah, I agree.
And even though the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was beneficial to a lot of the folk that voted against President Obama, they still went against him. Why? Because it was called Obamacare.
All right.
They wanted nothing to do
Erase the
with
name.
President Obama.
Exactly.
So therefore, they went against something that was beneficial to them. all from ignorance. That's all it was.
So,
And even, see, they didn't even know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act was the same thing.
that's right. So
They didn't even know.
So we understand, and this probably could go on back and forth, right? Kind of like want to bring it around because I want to make sure that we're constructive in not just our thought process, because we're going to have differences of opinion, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's fine. However, I do want to capitalize on this point.
Yes.
That we do have access to our local government.
That's right.
And we now, even as Christians, can get involved in the civil liberties that we have. I don't know if a lot of us, even as Christians, vote.
Right.
Because we said we don't want anything to do with it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, oh, I'm just a stranger here.
Right.
I'm going home.
That's right.
And so, people have this mentality where we have this hands-off approach. I'm just going to pray.
Right.
And then the other thing I'm struggling with is we pick one concept, one idea, and say, well, if the person that's in office supports this one idea, I will run with them. Notwithstanding, there's some other things. Now, if we are Bible thumping, Bible pushing, we have to look at the world based on what the Bible says.
Correct. I agree with that.
The ethics of the Bible.
Correct. The principles.
The principles of the Bible.
Correct.
If you jump in the book of Proverbs, it talks about the sower of discord. Just decency. So that's why I was talking to you at the beginning, that it pains me that someone can't see that just with common decency that you're hurting me.
Right.
And you have no care.
Right.
So your agenda is more important.
Right.
Racism is systemic.
Correct.
It's not one thing. You talk about the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment wasn't supposed to be there. It's not there to free slaves or whatever we thought it was. It's just a matter of extending slavery into incarceration. We know that. And so you see the evolution of it, if you will. And so racism is systemic.
Yes.
But we as Christians, we're in this system. We're here now. We got to get involved because we do. It impacts us. Here's the thing, and I hate to be long, but I just want you to understand because I kind of want to bring it back to something constructive. I leave here in this sanctuary, just finished worshiping. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Just pray through whatever. Jump in my car, and I drive to Jamaica Avenue. Cop pulled me over. No reason. I wasn't doing anything. Just pulled me over. Asked me for my paperwork. Gave him the paperwork. But to the point that we made last week, it's emasculating to ask me where am I going.
Right.
I actually came from church, so I was wearing a suit. So I'm not a thug out there. What do you think? Maybe it's the car I was driving. It's a pink car. Maybe it's a pink car. It's a car that they erased. Whatever the reason is. So they pulled me over. He asked me for the paperwork. I gave it to him. He checked, and I asked him the question at the end. I said, why did you stop me? Because I need to know if something's, if my taillight out, what's the reason? No reason. Have a good day, sir. Go on about your business. Those things hurt.
Absolutely.
It's not decent.
Absolutely.
So my thing is, now we have to say, what can we do as Christians? Do I just come back here and pray through again? Or do I get involved in the civil the civil union that we have and get involved in the process and try to make a difference by voting in people that will protect my rights? See, and this is where we have to be careful, because then we're looking at this one person who, by all accounts to me, we might say they're all the same, but I don't know them personally, but I know what they display. And so if I look down, just like if you want to find a mate, you sit down and you get a list and you write down all the things that you see the person exhibit. So if I look and I see that you have 74 violations of the scripture, because that's what I live by, and the other guy has 14, I know we don't want to say this, but I have to pick the one that's the lesser of two evils. They're all politicians, they're all crooked, whatever.
Correct.
But I got to pick the one of lesser evil that's not going to violate my rights. And here's where I have a problem reconciling. I'm coming home now to the point I'm making. I find it very difficult, and it bothers me that I'm part of a group of people, Christians, I'm not saying any particular, that want to support someone who daily violates Scripture and not be vocal in standing up against it. To me, the church is silent.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem, and it bothers me.
I'm totally in agreement with everything that you just said, and I personally feel like the church is failing at a lot of things that the church should be good at.
Yeah.
How do you go where God is leading you and stay where you are? How do you do that? That's virtually impossible. If we're following the Word of God, He said He wants all of us to prosper and be in good health. But He also says the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. That's what I'm standing on today, on that word, because His word also says that it never returns void. So we're in this place at this particular time for a particular reason. And I believe that the last, that's us, will one day be first. And the first, that's the 1%, will be last. That's the hope that I walk with daily.
So you have a totally different perspective than what Hudson said. It's never going to change. We should learn to cope. You think it will change.
Totally.
And you think this generation is going to do it.
I do believe.
And
I think this generation, you know why I think this generation is going to do it? Because I think this generation has more, and I'm going to use a Jewish term, more chutzpah
Yiddish.
than our generation did.
Just to be clear, though, when I say, I don't think this world is going to change. I don't. And so when we talk about hope, I have hope, but not in this government. I have hope in Jesus. I don't look for this government to change. This is the world, and the world is going to do the world.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making,
That's
Huddy,
my
so
point.
what
When
should
I
we
say
should
that.
we be just passive and just take what comes to us and cope? That's the point I'm saying.
As far as with policemen and
Yeah, as far as everything
I don't
that we're
expect any
experiencing.
man- I don't expect any man to sit there and be badgered by another man because he's a policeman. You will defend yourself. All right? You will defend yourself. But my point is, as far as education and changing the system, it's not going to change. This is my opinion. It's not going to change. You can try if you want. I don't think voting, to be honest with you, and I'm going to be real. If you put a snake, a cobra, and a black mama in front, they're the same. To me, they're the same thing. It's
No, one is
wrestling.
faster.
Listen, it's wrestling. To me, it's wrestling. And it's all a show. As far as Democrats, Republicans, they're the same. They say what they say in front of the camera. After the camera's off, they go have lunch and talk about what they're going to do.
So don't vote. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is my opinion. I don't think these people are genuine in wanting to help.
So you're saying
I don't think they're genuine in wanting to help. That's my opinion.
Do you vote?
I have voted.
You
This
have
past, yeah. But when you put it,
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
I did not. I did not vote for Donald Trump.
Did you vote in that election?
I did not vote for Hillary.
So you didn't vote.
I did not vote.
You
What
don't
I
have
wish I did was write in my vote, and that's what I will do this election. I will write in my vote and write the person I think should be running the country.
Which is who?
I don't know if you want to know.
Let's
This-
not
this-
get into that.
Listen,
We
listen.
we
I'm just
gonna
being
run
honest
out
with
of time. We're gonna run out of time. We don't have the luxury for that. So let's
Okay.
this is the last round.
My point was like certain things in the system that we live in today are not going to change. I believe what you're saying, and what you speak of, what the Bible speaks of technically is a utopia, which technically may not happen. But I think our generation right now, in the movement that we're on, we're gonna find a middle ground where everyone can be, at least at the bare minimum, equal. At the bare minimum, I see in America or around the world.
You think? Okay.
There's things that you guys are older that you don't see, but me and Noah, we see it.
We see a lot.
On social media, on everything. There's a movement and a motion going that Donald Trump just had a rally. He lost out on a lot of money. There's a picture of him walking back to the White House in distress.
Yep.
The whole top row of that bowl was empty.
Yeah.
We did that. We went on social media and said, and pointed out facts, pointed out how this is affecting what now, what is what, and we made people not go.
Yeah, the petition
People
went
in
out.
your age
Went out.
group, we made people not go. Somebody posted the other day saying, we have the power to do anything we want. There's a thing going around where they're trying to get Fox News to make a fake story about how we're going to try and change the flag. It's not real.
Yeah.
But I bet you in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a story about it. Just because we want
Satire
to.
is big.
We have the power because we are unionized and we see the discrepancies. I see posts all the time where white girls are telling their dads, like, you are the problem. Tell them to their faces
I've
on
seen
video
those.
saying,
I've seen those.
where the white guy's like, I'm sorry, I just wouldn't let a black guy do that. She's like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
And she's like, what if I came in with a black dude? And he's like, I don't know what I would do. He's like, you're the problem. So our generation, we see it and we know, we understand. Our education, yes, it's bad, but we're doing our own research. If the research is there, I believe that we can, if the research and the evidence is there, I believe that people will take up what we have to say and go with it. We have the light, we're trying to shine the light. We just need the older generation to see what we're trying to say.
I do want to piggyback though on something real quick before we wrap up whatever on what you said, Dad, about the Christian belief. 'Cause at the end of the day, we are Christians, and I do just want to say that there is an idea, because you did point out like some idea that they all believe in why they supported Donald Trump, and there is an idea that he doesn't stand for certain things, but there's one major thing that's very it kind of took America by storm now more than ever. I don't know if I can like say it on camera, but like, it's basically something that God is totally against. And I heard with my own 2 ears on this platform, in this church, that this is the reason why we support him, because he's against this idea, because this idea is an abomination to God. Do you guys get it now?
Yes.
So my whole thing is, if you can support someone because they are against this one idea, I have to then question your Christianity.
Can you stop for a second, though? Which is a great point. Here's what I'm saying. That same one idea, there is another one idea.
Right.
That a lying lip is an abomination. So what
exactly.
I'm saying is, how do we now pick which abomination we should support?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And through that, that's what I'm saying. Through that, I didn't have to question it, because it's now you're saying you want revival and you want these people to come in and all these things. Those people, those type of people, those group of people are going to come in during revival. So what are you going to do now? Because they like this type of person or that type of thing, you're going to down, oh, I don't want this thing, I don't care. I think the church is very perverse in the way we think. I'm going to be very honest and blunt with you. And this is a lot of the reason why us as young people, this Generation Z, whatever you want to call us, doesn't come back to church.
Right.
Because not you guys, excuse me. The church does not stand for just. We serve a just God, and we want to come up here and we want to sing, we want to preach, and we want to act out, and we want to play church, basically. But God is a God of justice. He created all of us equal. We're all. It doesn't matter your skin tone, it doesn't matter your hair texture, it does not matter at the end of the day. He created you equal with one another. Yeah, I'm black, and what? Yeah, I believe in this, and what? You're not going to a white heaven. You're not going to. I just don't understand where these people come from with this ignorance, level of ignorance. Oh, let's just pray. Please, let's just pray. It's not about, I don't want to hear your prayer right now. I don't want to hear the prayers. I'm going to be very blunt and honest with you. I don't want to hear the prayers at all. Yeah. Take your prayers and somewhere else with you, please.
All right, no, I don't know what you're saying. I feel like you said we like to play church sometimes.
Yeah.
Judgment is not for us to pass.
That's right.
Judgment is for God to pass.
That's right.
Whatever is going on between that person, it's between them and God.
That's right.
Yes, come in. We'll accept you the way you are. It's all right.
Yeah.
Between you and God, you figure it out.
That's right.
And however much time it takes you to figure out, go ahead. It's not for us to judge.
That's right.
We're not saying we agree with you doing what you're doing. No, I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to tell you not to come in here or to stay away or get to support a different idea. No, come in with all your problems. You're not going to go to the hospital
Right.
and try and fix yourself up before you go in the hospital. No, come fix me
Yeah.
because I need help. That's why they're coming in. They're going to come eventually. But when they come, we can't turn them away. I'm not saying to stand with them and accept it. I'm not saying accept it. I'm saying let them figure it out with God. We all came in here with issues.
100%.
Granted, me and you were born in the church, but we
Yeah.
still have our issues no matter what.
100%.
The church is like a hospital. And when you go into a hospital, if you're sick, they're not going to turn you away because of your sickness. And I'm not saying that it's a sickness. I'm just giving an analogy. They're not going to turn you away because you have pneumonia and you have the flu. They're
We
going to treat
believe
both of you.
pneumonia is stronger than the flu, so we're not going to treat it.
They're
No.
going to receive both of you.
They're going to try their hardest no matter what to
And that's
fix
what
it is.
and that's one of the things that I feel like the church is, when I say it's failing at things that it should be good at. That's one of those things, because you're losing people before you even can
understand
get
that.
them.
Yeah.
Because you're standing there doing what exactly you preach about not doing, and that's judging. Judge ye not.
Okay.
Until what? That happens? No, it's not right. It's not biblical that we should judge. He said, love ye one another as I have loved you. What was the stipulations that came with that? There was none. There was none. But we're hypocritical when we do that. We're totally hypocritical when we do that. So I totally agree with you.
I feel like one thing the church has to also understand is that no matter what lifestyle you live, at the end of the day, they see us as black people. America sees us as black people. That's it. It doesn't matter your lifestyle or what you went through in life or where you come from. At the end, they see you as black people. So for you to go and support someone that is against just one idea of many ideas, basically you're standing with a racist movement.
So what do you think is the solution?
Solution here, one, we need to educate ourselves and
Yeah,
wake up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we're in trouble. If the church continues this way, we're in trouble.
So we've said a lot of things, and I love it. You know, it's raw. I like it. However, there's one thing that we realize in all that we've done here is we now understand certain perspectives. And especially for this generation, I worry that this generation, before this generation, is failing this generation. And this generation have to make some changes. This traditional, fundamental way we do things, we do church, has to change.
Absolutely.
And so there's some ideas that we have espoused and we have lived for a long time that we have lost a generation and we're losing a generation. And so in order for us to embrace some things that we're seeing, we have to change the way we think and redirect, blend and redirect, whatever it is that we have to do to get involved, to be a part of the process. I'm still alive, so I still have hope that some changes. Yes, I look at it sometimes and I say, I don't see nothing's gonna happen. We shall overcome. We've been singing that for so many years. And so it doesn't look like it's gonna be, but the church now has to change the way we do things. Ministry has to change. Ministry means not self-prop up to say, oh, I have a title, or I have a this, or I have a that. Right. Ministry means to serve the people where they are.
Absolutely.
And so we have to change. I have to change the way I think. There are a lot of old traditional beliefs that I had that I had to toss out because I realized I wasn't reaching people.
That's right.
And so we all have to now introspect and say, well, listen, this pandemic and the quarantine for the pandemic is an act of God. So now we have a time to pause, hit the pause button and say, now let's look at where we are and where God is. Are we far from where God is? And some of our old ideas, we got to toss them out because we really got to do ministry. And I'm afraid to lose that generation or this generation here. I'm afraid to lose them over some myopic way that we view the world. And so we have to now change and decide that we're going to do things differently.
Absolutely.
Now, we said a lot of things, and I just wanted to end with that. Unfortunately, this isn't, we're not trying to solve problems. And I like the fact that, you know, everyone here gave their true, look, at the end of the day, it's about honesty and transparency. And I love the fact that all of you guys here, give yourselves a hand. I really appreciate you guys. You guys gave your honest opinion. It might be controversial, it might be whatever, but you gave your opinion. And at the end of the day, we have to have a discussion, whether, you know, and find some measure of ground, because guess what? You rightfully said, we're not going to a white heaven or a black heaven. We're going to the heaven. And if we're going to the heaven, then he's not coming back for an individual. He's coming back for a church.
That's right.
And a church has to be together to get in order to go.
Without
And so with that, I just want to say we'll sign off on this topic. If you want to give your some feedback, please, you could email me at robert.paris@oneness.nyc. If not, you can make a comment on the video. There's YouTube and there's Facebook. You can make a comment. We'll field all your comments, and please make them constructive. If you want to reach out to Dara Wilson, please reach out to him. He gave his information. We'll put it on the video. And so, you know, just reach out. If you're going through something, please don't go through it alone, because we don't want you to go out there and do something crazy. Again, well, my last point is we're not sanctioning going out there and rioting. Protesting, yes, but rioting, no. But at some point, we have to get involved and try to make this world that we live in a better place, because at the end of the day, we're going to be asked how much of a good steward we were. God bless you, and I hope you enjoy this video.